Hello. So, I wanted to make a video about like trait points and like the best ones to focus on, like when you're like creating a character's on, like the main stats, not the actual stats, but the ones that are listed as trait points in the game. And by trait points, I mean like the main attributes. Like when you go to the adventures log, you want to like say register a new character. Like, okay, but where do I put all these stats? Right, you'll have all these bonus points here. These are called trait points by the game. Like many people call them the main stats or your attributes, but there are 7 of them. And like how you put these in there, a lot of people say they don't matter. They actually matter a lot more than you think, but they're not all stats are created equal. Some stats are not that great. Some of them are actually quite great, and we're going to talk about it, but let's go look at what the game says, the actual game. So if you go to help, you can go to the adventures menu. So they're called trait points, and there's 7 stats here, like the 10 trait points, right? These grow, increase in skills, or level as you level up, right? So also I should note that some of these affect, according to the game, they affect HP, MP, and SP, but people have done tests and the effect is so minimal that they can't notice it, even at like a level 60 doesn't. It's either bugged or the effect is so small as to be irrelevant. So just you could ignore all these references to SPM, PHP in this, because even at level 60, any kind of bonus, it's in the single digits. Like it might be 1 or 2 points maybe. It's like said, and it's hard to know if that's actual, if that's because of the stat or if that's just RNG. I mean, it's so small, so just ignore that part. But yeah, so strength, it affects attack power. IQ, this affects magic power, also affects detect. This is the primary one for detect. Detect is really important for like opening treasure chests, but also detect effects, like if you will detect a monster on the map, if you will detect like traps on the map, or if you will detect like objects nearby, like the little glowy circles or like chests or writing on the wall or anything. All that's affected by detect. Piety affects divine power, resistance, and magic defense. Vitality affects resistance and physical defense. Speed affects evasion, evade trap, sure evasion, and action speed. Dexterity affects accuracy, surety, and disarm trap. Luck affects outcome of various actions. So this is actually the secondary stat for like a lot of these checks. So detect, its primary is IQ, but secondary is luck. So it's like 70% of your IQ and 30% of your luck goes into that check, right? And for accuracy, it's 70% of your dexterity and 30% of your luck. And for evasion and sure evasion, it's 70% speed, 30% luck. So luck is a secondary on a lot of those checks there. So just keep that in mind. Luck is also used for a lot of different skills. Like there's a lot of skills that are affected by luck. But yeah. So let's talk about, like I said, so there's about the 7 stats. Only some of them are actually worth using. Like there's some stats that are just terrible, like on anybody. You just should never invest in them. And so we'll talk about those 2 first. There's kind of like, I'd say 3 characters. There's 2 stats that are kind of trash, 2 stats that are okay sometimes depending on the character, and 3 stats that are usually going to be your focus on your most characters. You're going to focus on one of those 3 stats. So your 3 like main stats that matter. Like on most characters, those are going to be 3 stats that matter. So let's just start with the bad stats. So the crap stats are dexterity. No, not dexterity. Sorry, vitality and piety. Vitality and piety. Vitality is the worst stat in the game. Right, it says it only affects defense and resistance, and it's a really small amount. It's like, it's irrelevant. Like, it just doesn't do anything. The HP and SP, really, it's so trivial. Like, it doesn't make any value to put points in vitality. It does not help you in, like, any measurable way. Like, because you'd be better off putting your stats literally anywhere else. So vitality is a dump stat. Do not put points into vitality. Terrible stat. The other stat that is terrible is piety. Piety, you might think it priest needs. You're like, oh, priest, right? It's I want to heal with my priest, right? You'll be like,
anything wrong?
We have all these priest spells like Dios and stuff, but the problem is most spells, the priest spells, they're like buffs. They're like things like this. They cure status effects, and none of these scale with divine power. Divine power only affects effectively only affects 3 spells. It affects Dios, Madios, Badios. It also affects La Badios, but that is Alice only. In addition to that, it also affects the Night skill Self-healing. Self-healing is also affected by that, wherever it is. Self-healing, it's right here. So this is affected by divine power. It's the only skill it's affected by divine power, self-healing. So that's pretty much it. So putting points into that is kind of pointless. I mean, defense, magic defense and resistance, it doesn't help enough there to put points in Piety. And Piety, most spells just aren't affected by Piety. And in most cases, like, divine power is just not nearly as important as magic power, because it's competent mage, like, we'll have enough divine power, like, just from their weapon. Like, if you go to a mage or even a priest, like, you will look at, like I said, you can go whatever their weapon is. Like, if you have like a decent one of the good magic or divine power, like high-end level staffs will raise both magic and divine power. So any of your mages or priests who have a high level staff will have lots of divine power from their weapon. And right, just like a mage here, like just this mage here, she can cast Dios here for almost, I think it's really close to whatever their divine, because it's mages have 100% modifier on divine power based on Piety. So we're at 271, and her Dios spells heals really close to level 1. At level 3, Dios heals almost 500 with that. Same thing like Kathrine. My Kathrine, she has over 300, so...
If you have time, how about a chat?
Yeah, like the healing on Dios in Madios, like on level 1, is really close to whatever your divine power. It's pretty much like a 1-1, so if I cast Dios with Kathrine, it's going to be about 300. If I upcast it to like on a level 3 or something, like... Right, if I cast this at like level 3, it's like 500. Same thing with Madios, it's like 300 to the line or 500 to the line. You could do level 2. Level 2 is not doesn't scale as very well. It's only like 10% more, 20% more. It's like, it goes like 300, 350, 500. So I almost never cast level 2. It's be 1 or 3. But it's just, you could cast at level 3 and it's like, and that's full heal pretty much on your team. Like, at the high max level, most characters aren't going to have more than 600 HP at level 60. So being able to heal for 500 points is all you need, so scale for those divine power ends up being worthless. And really the only spell that really matters for divine power is Badios, because this is a light based spell. It scales with divine power, but yeah, on the other hand, you could just teach any of your magic users mage spells, and just have it scale with IQ, because IQ affects every mage damage spell, and there is a lot. The mage book is mostly damage spells, so, or at least half of them, like all the spells you'll use a lot are based on damage. So IQ ends up just being a much better investment for me than a priest. Like, even if you want to do a priest, you'd be much better putting your points into IQ than Piety. Or you can put your points into speed or something. But like on a priest who could become a mage, like Alice, like Marianne, like, was it Emil? Like any of the priests that become mage, always IQ is definitely the stat you want. Like I said, besides that, you can do speed could be okay. Strength could be good if you fight with your priest, or if it's a priest like Galena can become a fighter. So putting your points in strength might make sense, or just putting in luck. Luck is a good stat for priests too. So yeah, so Piety trash. Don't put points into Piety. It's a garbage stat. Don't put points in Piety. It's terrible. So the other two stats that they're sometimes good are Dexterity and Speed. Dexterity, I mentioned earlier, it is the stat that affects accuracy. It also affects Disarm Trap. Another thing that it also said surety rate in the description. That's mostly for nimble strike weapons. Like if you have a weapon, usually a dagger, you'll sometimes see a weapon that'll have the trait Nimble Strike on it. Right, Nimble Strike. What Nimble Strike does is the higher wielder's dexterity, the easier it is to exploit gaps defense to land sure hits. So this you get a surety bonus with Nimble Strike. That is affected by dexterity. So if you're like trying to do like a build that wants to exploit Nimble Strike, dexterity could help. If you're like a thief, dexterity might matter too if you're trying to do, like, if you want to have a better disarm trap skill. But overall though, dexterity feels like a bad stat compared to some of the other points you could do. And then there's speed. Speed is good because it affects action speed. On the other hand, the action speed bonus is kind of on the low end. It also affects evasion, which is good. There's certain classes like samurai and ninja and stuff. They have like some skills that are speed based, so you might be, especially the samurai, the new class, speed might be a much higher consideration for them. But for a lot of characters, all right, speed's one of those stats you might put in if you don't have something better to do. Like, yeah, priests, a lot of priests, like, yo, it's like the piety is worthless, so maybe speed's just a better investment than piety. If you don't know what else to do, you could put your priest attributes into speed. Yeah, so speed, yeah, it's a fine stat. There's not, it's like, it's one of those, it's kind of like, it's not a bad stat to invest in, but it's not, like I said, usually there's something better to invest in. And that gets us to that's 3 stats that I think are the good stats, right? And that is strength, IQ, and luck. So if you are a physical attacker, obviously strength is going to be your main source of damage. Like all your weapons, like I said, physical attack, your attack power is based on strength. More strength you have, the more damage you do with weapons. So strength is good on any of your like non-spellcasting classes. That is probably the stat you want to do. And then for mages and probably priests, or at least priests that can become mages, or any priests you want to cast mage spells with, because priests, let's be honest, if a pure priest is kind of meh, because there's most turns you don't need to heal, most turns you don't need buff. So you either need to have your priest capable of wielding weapons and actually crushing enemies or something, or you need to teach your mage spells. So IQ is is the only stat you would care on a mage. If you're doing a mage, there's only one stat that matters, and that's IQ. On priests, IQ is also pretty good, because chances are you're going to try teaching your priest mage spells anywhere, like Feru or Megal, because you want them to be able to cast spells and do damage, because it's just investing in your IQ and teaching them Megal is going to do way better than trying to raise your divine power to do damage with Badios. Like, Badios is only really good versus undead. There's a couple of other, like, niche cases. So, like, yeah, you're better off just focusing on IQ there. IQ is the best stat for mages. Like, it's the only stat you care about in mages. And then there is luck, which is kind of like the wild card. Luck is also an insanely good stat, because it is the main defense stat. Like, vitality and piety are supposed to be defensive stats, but reality is luck is the main defensive stat. And the reason for that is because there's all kinds of abilities in the game that scale with luck, including a lot of the defensive abilities that you will have on your characters, like Way of the Night. This is a night passive. You can also teach the characters, but chance to reduce damage when user is attacked affected by luck. So if the higher your luck you have, the more likely this ability is to trigger and prevent some of the damage, right? This will protect way more than having higher vitality or piety will. Like, you'll save more health with that ability. Same thing with Unyielding Will of Fight. This is a chance to cheat death. This is a cheat death ability. Chance to survive with 1 HP. What would normally be a fatal blow, you have a chance of surviving with 1 HP, and this is based on luck. More luck you have, the more chances this ability has to trigger. Wisdom of Truth. This has 2 parts, so you can eliminate damage dampening against types, but this other one is has a chance to reduce damage when attacked based on skill level. It's pretty much like Way of the Night has this passive like defense bonus on it. It's just such a great skill. This is like one of those skills you want to have on everyone, probably like at least 1 level. That's why Adam, yo, he's okay as a mage, but he's probably more useful for his inherit, just because Wisdom of Truth is so good to teach on literally everyone. And again, this is another luck-based skill. It says based on skill level. It's also based on luck. It doesn't say that thing, but it is. Oh, actually, it's right here. Also reads with chance to reduce damage when affected by luck. There you go. Yeah, so it is right here. It's actually in there. So it's affected. So if you're reduced damage based on luck. So there's that one. There's other stats. There's other abilities that do that same thing. And it adds up. Like, all those kinds of skills add up to prevent a lot of damage. Like you will see, like, if you get those skills like high enough, or you get a few different skills on the same character, you will see so and so avoided a direct hit during combat. You will see that a lot thanks to those skills. There's also the offensive side of that, where it's there are skills like follow-up attack and counterattack. Like, these are also affected by luck. The more luck you have, the more likely these are triggered. No, follow-up attack only works on basic attacks, or a counterattack, which is also counts as a basic attack. So if you don't use basic attacks a lot, this is not going to happen too often, but it will happen in your counterattack, or if you use auto attack. Same thing in your counterattack. Counterattack's mostly relevant for frontline. If you teach this to a backline character, they're not going to trigger this much. But again, this is also based on luck. More luck you have, the more likely you are to counterattack. More luck you have, the more likely you are to follow up attack. So luck is an amazing stat. on a lot of characters. And again, most night passives, they have all kinds of different passives that are based on a luck. Like I said, we talked about Unyielding Will to Fight and Way of the Night. Recovery is based on luck. What else is based on luck? I thought there was another one that's based on luck. Maybe not. I think they had one more skill that's based on luck. But yeah, that's kind of the point. Is luck is probably the main defense. That's why it's a big part of why Vitality and Piety are worthless, is because their defense, they just don't add nearly defensive value as luck does, especially if you start getting inherits. And like speed can also increase evasion, which is probably better defense stat than defense anyway. But mostly, if you want to raise defense, just do it for your gear. Like, you can get defense here, you can get magic defense, you can probably get evasion from gear. Like, that's the best. If you want to increase defense, just focus on like evasion and magic defense. Usually, you can honestly ignore defense probably on a lot of this gear. Like, it's just, if you have good evasion, you don't need defense. And there's some enemies that hit so hard that defense doesn't matter, but if you can get to like 300 evasion on all your characters, you can probably evade most physical attacks in the game. It also makes those counterattack abilities way better if you have high evasion too. So that's just better if you want to do like defense. Luck is your defensive stat. Like, if you're a fighter or knight, you might want to focus on luck, but luck is good on literally anybody, just because you're likely to teach them defensive skills, like Wisdom of Truth, like Way of the Night, like Unyielding Will to Fight, etc. One more thing to talk about with stats, and sometimes when you're registering in an adventure, like, you might have noticed that some characters, they will have like slightly different stats at creation. So if we go to Elise here,
Keep it short.
right, so let's look at her stats. So we have 11 strength, 15 IQ, 11 piety, 12 vitality, 15 dexterity, 14 speed, 10 luck, right? So remember those stats.
Keep it short.
You might look at a different one and it will be maybe slightly different. This one, look, the speed's different on this one. It's 13 speed. The other one had 12 speed, right?
Short.
Or 14 speed. So that one's like, so that one had one less. This one has one more speed than that one. So that means she gets an extra point in speed. What this means is she not only gets an extra point in speed at creation, but she will also get an extra point in speed as she levels up at level 30, at level 40, at level 50, and level 60. It is a guaranteed +1 speed up those levels, but it will get it in addition to any other stats you earn at those levels. So if you also got a +1 speed from your normal level up, you would get +2 speed at that level. So it's one of those things to keep in mind if you're trying to raise a certain stat. Like, if you want a fighter with high strength, you want to also get one with a +1 strength of creation. Same thing with a mage. If you want a mage that has high magic power, like, so I always use elf mag as the model here, because this is how I got a 91 IQ mage here. Right, you take an elf mag, her default IQ is 19, even though it has 10 bonus points. You'd be better off trying to find one with a +1 IQ than a 10 bonus point one, because her other point is, where is her other point? Is it's achieving at one. Sometimes you have a chance of not getting a bonus at all. But I think is a piety. Maybe that one didn't get an extra bonus, but I could put on the screen like what the bases are on a mage and like what they would be at the +1. Like, and you always want to try to find the +1 for a mage before those stats. And same thing like a fighter. If you want to fight a fighter with strength, you would want to find, like I said, figure out their base strength is, and then get one with the +1, and then put all points in strength, or whatever stat you want to focus on. Like, that can actually add up to a lot of extra stats. And this is how you can get a mage at level 60 who has over 90 IQ. See my elf mag? She has 91 IQ because I got up one with a +1 IQ, so she had 20 base, and then she also had 8 bonus points, so I put them all into IQ. And she had really good IQ growth when leveling up. There's only like 1 or 2 levels where she didn't get a point of IQ. So she got IQ almost every level. And now she has like a very high IQ stat, which gives her really good magic power. She has 439. Compared to my Kathrine, she only has 73 IQ. And that's with the +5 bonus from the Mage Master's Dream. Like, she only has like 68 IQ because her bonus was in Vitality, which is, like I said, a trash stat. Vitality does nothing for her. Like, so getting a +1 in IQ would have been way better than that +1 in Vitality. Because then she'd have at least 5 more points in IQ and just would have that much more magic power. So it matters a lot. It also matters, like, for, like, the skills that, if you go to an equipment, you might see a trait like Mag plus 10%. This is based off your base magic based off IQ. Like, so if you have 100 IQ as a mage, you'll get 120 magic points up from that, because it's you get 120% bonus for magic power based on IQ for a mage. So the more higher your IQ, the higher your base magic power, and the better these kind of traits work for that stat. So again, that's why IQ is so important for mage. Same thing as like strength for like a fighter or like other physical attackers. Like, so that's why those are the two stats that matter. Then luck is like the other stat that matters, just because it's kind of like the main defensive stat. And there's a lot of reasons why you might want to focus on a luck-based character, especially for like a fighter or a knight that you want to tank with. Anyway, if you want to know more about like the best mages and stuff, I have done a video about that, which you can find down below. As always, thank you for watching.